Alright, so today I am going to show you how to paint eggs, or at least the eggs that I do, and what I use to do it, along with a few crafting tips for this particular project, and just crafting tips in general, actually. This particular egg is a very large wooden egg, and they're very difficult to find. As a matter of fact, I happened to come across them by accident while I was looking for unfinished eggs on eBay. And I came across somebody that was getting rid of the stock that they had that they used to carve eggs with. And these are, they used to carve faces in the egg, and I thought they were fabulous. I'm used to your typical hen egg and even the smaller wren eggs, which I'll get to later on. But right now we've got these ginormous eggs, and these are about 5 inches high by about 3.5, 4 inches wide. I don't even know, maybe 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches high. And I started doing my painting of the eggs on the hen eggs first, and I'll get to those in a minute too. So I started on the hen eggs and the wren eggs, which are wren eggs are about 5/8 by 7/8 inches. The hen eggs are about 2.5 inches, and then you have your goose eggs, which are higher, a little higher than that, about 3.5 by 2.5 wide, and then we've got your jumbo eggs. So what happens is, this is made out of a very hard wood. I think they say that it's birch wood. And what I do first of all is take Elmer's glue, right here, just typical Elmer's glue, and I put a little pool of it in a palette, in my painting palette, which I'll show you is a very used painting palette. And I paint the entire top of the egg. And why I do that is because in my particular eggs, I'm going to put trees and things on top, but I'm not painting a blue sky. So I want the egg, how it looks now, to stay basically just how it looks now once I dip it in lacquer or high gloss finish. If you don't put the glue, the Elmer's glue, which protects it from the lacquer and from changing to a darker color, then it will get even more dark than you care for it to be, or that I care for it to be anyway. And I don't have an example of that because I didn't want to waste my eggs to show you that example. But what will happen is when I do the glue, and I'll show you an egg that has been done with the glue. Now, this is an egg that's already been done with the glue, and I don't know if you can see with the lighting that I have right now. I did order a actual sunlight lamp, so I have that coming. But there is a line where you can see the difference between where the glue is, and it does give it a slight hue, but it's going to stay basically just what you see from above my hands now. That's the color it will be when I get done lacquer finishing it, and I'll show you that in a minute. So this is like going to be my sky. From here to here is basically going to be where I paint the country scene all the way around, and on the bottom is going to be where I paint like my lake, or whatever you want to call it. Lake, pond, river, all the way around. Okay, so that's that. Okay, now once I have the glue is on and it's dry, it takes seconds really to dry. I then put in my land, and I know this looks pretty horrible right now, but the end product looks pretty good. How I do my land is by using an Americana glue called Marigold. Actually, I just look for something that looks mustard color. I don't look for any particular color of, any particular brand, but just a mustard color. However, I will say that the Americana covers very well compared to other acrylics. So with Marigold, what I just do is I take one of my brushes here, and I will continue on with this video in a part 2 by showing you how I actually do the physical painting. But this is painted on like this all along this 2 inches or so in the middle of the egg. And I always make sure that I paint where that glue line is, okay? Make sure that I get within that glue base. In other words, here's the egg with the glue line. When I'm painting in that marigold, I want to paint in that marigold starting at the glue line and making like a little half circle, a half circle, half circle. I don't want to make a half circle here and then leave some of the egg that wasn't that I didn't put the glue on exposed to the varnish later on. Okay. Now, once you get this part done, that's basically when the fun begins. And let me mention a little bit about the shading. The shading is done using a darker color, either a burnt umber or any kind of brown acrylic paint. And then what I do is I wet this brush really well in the water, and then I just dip a corner of the brush in the brown, and then I bring it down, bring it atop, bring it around, bring it atop, bring it around, go down. And I'm just trying to make little hills and valleys that are going to be in the country scene. Okay. After this part is done, this is when the detailing, when you start to do the detailing on your egg, okay, which is the fun part. And my video number 2 is going to show you how to make it the little church. And every one of my eggs is something different, or the church might be done differently. You know, everything's I might add something different on each one that another one doesn't have. On this one I have the church. I have a salt box house with 2 extensions. I've got a salt box house with 1 extension. I've just got a plain salt box house. I have what I call my homes, which are all white. They each have a chimney. They got a little window and a little door. Okay, and then I add fences, bushes, little people, and sheep. And then later on, for the top, so I'm not leaving it completely bare, is I will put 2 trees, 1 big tree here and 1 big tree here, and then I'll fill in that tree with green and you know, to make it look like it has leaves and things on it. And then on the bottom I will put blue, and then I will put maybe a canoe with people in it, a couple of swans here and there. And then when it's all completed, which is what I'll show you next, what it looks like, a completed one. And this is one of my completed, painted, large eggs. This one has your tree, and it's just a matter of stippling in some green. And here's the key to all of this painting, which looks like, oh my, I have to have a lot of skill. Well, you know what? You don't have to have a lot of skill. If you can make a dot, if you can make a straight line, if you can make a triangle, if you can make a square, if you can make a half circle, and you can make a circle, then that's if you can make a check mark, that's every single thing it takes to paint this. That's all it is a bunch of straight lines, triangles, little circles, half circles, little squares. I mean, that's all it is. That's all it is. So let's pretend like this part was done, okay? And now I'm going to show you the tree. I just put a trunk, straight line, fill it in a little bit, make it a little bit larger than the normal scene, stipple in. I do light green first, then I do dark green on top of it, then I usually do an orange, and then I just dot in these little flowers. And how I do that is by using not any expensive tools. All of my brushes, which I'll show you,